Hello, welcome to the Sips and Smut podcast. I am Jordan,
Hi, Maddie.
and today we are going to be talking about the phenomenon heated rivalry. Oh my gosh. And if you have not heard about this, you have been living
You
literally
are
under
under
a
a
rock.
rock.
You are under, there's no way. There's no way you haven't heard about this
Seriously,
series or the story.
Mom Donnie was talking about it in a press conference in New York City, telling New Yorkers to go to the public library and read the book.
It's everywhere now. Like they're now the actors
Ridiculous.
are now doing the torch. They're taking the
Or
torch
the
for the Olympics.
Olympics, which I'm so here for.
Yeah.
This, I mean, I feel like this book and show rewrote my DNA a little bit.
And I am so happy that it did because I've never had a problem with male on male romance. I've always enjoyed reading it.
Yeah,
And
I
I
don't have a problem
love
with it. I don't relate to it as much, so I tend to not read it as much.
that's fair. But I
Yeah.
love that this show that was created from this story has
Ugh.
really promoted more of this kind of reading. And it's even actually helps the NHL. More people
It
are going,
does, and I feel like I mean, the book and the show are such beautiful pieces of art in terms, not only just as they stand, but in terms of inclusion and the emotion that these characters go through. And for me, like, not reading that as much really helped me understand, I think, nuances to that dynamic that I hadn't thought of.
mhm.
But God, the longing.
The longing. See, what people don't realize, they might not fully realize in the show until a little later because of how it is talked about. But in the
Yeah.
book, it is pretty prominent of like showing like the progression of their relationship
Yes.
because it is a sexual based relationship in the beginning. But this is like a 10-year
Yeah.
long type of a situationship, if you will.
Yes.
Um,
And
of
it's
and
what would you say, enemies to lovers?
no,
Rivals to lovers? Fake enemies to lovers.
they were never enemies to begin with.
They were never enemies. And that
That
was
was
just
just
the
the media.
media.
Yeah, that was the media that spun that. It's because they misinterpreted the, sparks, if you
Chemistry?
will, the
Yeah.
chemistry between the 2, and that was the issue, and, I mean, it worked in their favor because they were able to see each other a lot more, but at the same
Yes.
time, they were both coming to terms with their sexuality. Ilya
Yeah.
Rosanov
Ilya kind of
was
knew.
knew what he wanted, but
Shane did not. Shane really had
Shane
to. I mean,
he
I
took a
don't
long
think he
time to
even
kinda
had
figure out
really
himself.
thought about it
No, he was so focused
until
on
Shane.
hockey.
He was so focused on hockey that like he didn't even know. But I will tell you this. So you brought this book to me,
Mhm.
and I watched the show first. And the first few episodes, I was like, it's good.
Uh-huh.
And then it was amazing. And then I read the book.
Uh-huh.
And then I went back and I've watched the show 4 times, I think. But then I went back and I watched the show again after reading the book. And I think especially the beginning of the book does a much better job of developing that relationship in your mind of this is a
Mhm,
meeting, this is we're exploring something, this is just a sex thing.
mhm,
Like, we're rivals, we're always pitted against each other because they're both fantastic. They were always number 1 or number 2. From high school through, the national teams, Russia versus Canada and the Olympics, and then now they're on Boston versus Montreal. It's always these 2. Um, and the book does a great job of showing that to them, it wasn't about that. It was like it was a sex thing at first, but the hatred rivalry wasn't there. I think there was a healthy rivalry of like pushing each other. And I think one of my favorite scenes where that's in is the gym
yeah,
where they're on
that's
the
true.
bikes and they're pushing each other, but
Negative way.
it's not in a negative way. It's in a positive way. And they get done with that, sitting on the gym floor just talking. Like,
Yeah,
you wouldn't do that with somebody that you would not have a good relationship with. And I think that's one thing the book just builds it more. I think it makes it more known that they really don't know each other. It really is just a sex thing and an exploratory thing. And then you see that develop and it becomes more of a, "Oh, I think I like this," more than just a passing
Thing, yeah.
exploratory thing.
One
Um
one thing that
mhm.
I read the book. I had watched an episode and I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna read it," because I felt like there was some stuff missing in the end, like the beginning scene. Don't get me wrong, they do a very good job with it. It's
It does.
very,
It just, if
very
you
well
haven't read
done.
it, it's not
It
gonna hit
doesn't
the same
it's not gonna hit the same. So I read it and I'm glad I did because there was nuances that you're just really hard to convey in a, like, TV
in a
show
screen.
type
Yeah.
setting. Yeah. You can't really convey it that well, so reading it was much better because you have the insight of their minds and how what they're thinking. And for
Yes.
Shane in particular, he just had a really hard time figuring out himself, how to read Ilya, how to read other people. He was so
Well, Ilya is very
afraid.
hard to read anyway,
True, but he
but
was so
yeah.
afraid in general,
Yeah.
and he didn't
Like
understand himself either, so there
like you
was
said,
that.
he had spent his entire life, up to that point, focused on hockey, and I think one of the things the show does very well is to show the relationship that he has with his parents. Well, yes, it's an excellent relationship, it's still all about hockey.
Mhm.
So, like, the restaurant scene in the show where the mom's like, "Oh, Rolex is in and blah, blah, blah," and he's talking about going down a rabbit hole, his dad's like, "Well, that sounds important too," and it is, but it's something that Shane, I think, never let himself explore.
Mhm.
Everything was hockey, and when you're in professional sports, that makes a lot of sense. So to then have to all of a sudden come to terms with, I have feelings for somebody I personally feel like I shouldn't have feelings for. Like, this makes me uncomfortable because all of a sudden, who am I?
Mhm.
And I think it wasn't that he was ashamed to have feelings for Ilya. I think it just threw him off that he had never really thought about it before. And all of a sudden, everything was changing in his life going pro, and then having to start to
I
deal with these feelings.
I agree with that, and I don't agree with that because he
Okay.
does talk about how he feels shame. He does talk about it in the book, about how he does feel shame about how he feels because he's not sure if his parents will still love him. That's another
Yeah.
concern that he has, so he has shame on that. And also and you're right about the hockey thing, that's all his life been 'cause he talked about women relationships, like, you regular girlfriends, and they never really were his forefront, and he
Yeah.
just
He was
did the
like, "I
like,
could
the bare minimum
I
with
could
it.
do it. It wasn't like when he's
It
talking
wasn't
to
like with Ilya.
Rose,
Yeah, it wasn't
was
like
it
with
better with a man?" Yeah.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
And, um, I know it's cutting ahead, but I think it's important to say because he feels this shame, my favorite scene in this show was the very last one when his mom apologizes for making him feel like he couldn't tell them the truth.
it's true.
And I sob every time I see that. And I think that
Or
is such an important message.
yeah, it is, and I think well, it's not just that scene, they've
There's
kinda
a
come
lot, but
yeah, they
that was
combined
such
2
a big
books
one.
into this too,
Yeah,
because
they did.
to be fair, the Ilya and Shane story is kind of told throughout the series of this hockey
Yes.
series, and the 1st book and Heated Ride was actually the 2nd book in the series, um, are a little bit combined because they do intertwine a little bit, and so in the 3rd episode, when they talk about like, they introduce 2 characters that you haven't really met yet, Kip
Yes.
and, uh, oh my gosh,
Scott,
I'm blank Scott, thank you. Kip and Scott, and they're so cute, and
they're
it's
so cute.
and he was so
Scott,
frustrating. Scott was mad making me mad for a little while there, but I
for a little bit,
understood
because you're like, because you could tell that he was picking up some stuff, but you couldn't tell how he felt about it. And that was a great thing that they did in the show because you don't get that from the book. Like you said, it's the second book, but you see through the first, you know, was it 4 episodes? What was that? The fifth episode where Scott
5th
comes
episode is
out?
where it comes out. That's, like, the big
Yeah.
one.
So the first four, you know, you see Scott kind of like watching them. And the one where Ilya's like, "Here's my room number," as he skates past, and Scott's like, what was that about?"
Yeah,
And you
but
can tell that he's like,
he picks up on
he's
it.
picking it up. And then he like at the oh, what is it? Rookie of the year thing. He's like, "Where's your boy?" And you can't quite tell how he feels about it. You can tell that he knows.
No, there's a bit though. There's a bit where he knows because he says, "You're starting to sound like him." And he goes, What the heck
Yeah,
you talking about?" I was like, "You know what I'm saying." And so he knew. He picked up on it, but he also didn't
he
wanna
picked on it very early, but
he
he
didn't
didn't
wanna out them because he's in the
he
same
didn't
boat.
he's in the same boat. And
And
I have to say, I love the positive things that have come from this book and this show, like the hockey
Mhm,
player that came out after.
mhm,
And one of the things they talk about, which is so important, is the language, especially in professional sports.
mhm,
The F word that is just thrown around willy-nilly, and it makes it a not safe place. And I think it's the first episode of the show where there's a line the mom says. They're talking about Ilya, and she's talking about how much she doesn't like him, and she's like, F him right up the butt."
mhm,
And it really made me think about things that I say where I wouldn't think that it has this connotation or it takes a negative stance on something like that. And it made
mhm,
me think about that and be like, I know I've said that before, and God, I don't mean it like that. But things like that, that for somebody that is struggling with whether or not to come out with their sexuality, with understanding themselves, to hear that,
mhm.
of course he felt shame.
Well, and also to be fair, he hadn't really Ilya was his only experience in that area.
Boy,
Like,
what an experience it was. But yes,
we got to see the experience, and I'm not complaining, but,
I am not
uh,
complaining. It was a damn good
they
experience.
did so good with the actors they picked, but
Oh
anyways,
my God, for real.
it's him, he's trying to figure out how he feels because he realizes, like, "Oh, maybe he's both ways because Ilya's both ways." Um,
Yeah.
and
And
he's
I think
still trying
Ilya
to figure that
realizes
out.
is sooner
Well, the other thing
that
too
Shane
is that,
doesn't.
for Shane, his mom is, like, an extreme hockey person, and so I can understand why he might have thought that she didn't like that type of thing.
Yeah.
Just from the little bit we learned, because they don't even really talk about her too much in the book so much as, like,
No,
she's
they don't.
obsessed with hockey, like,
Yeah, she's more a
unbelievably
dynamic character, I
obsessed.
feel like, in the show.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then
Yeah.
with there's a scene that I wanna talk about real quick before I forget. Whenever they're talking about Ilya and, he realizes when they're in Russia for the Olympics, and he and Shane realized, like, "Oh, Ilya could actually get killed
He could get killed.
for this," like, so he has to be very careful. And then he's realizing that, and it's not just Shane who is, but Scott as well, because there was another
Yeah.
person on their team that pointed that out. They're both like, "Oh," because that's still a thing in
It's
many
still very
different
and that's
places.
in many,
Like,
many places.
you if they find out you like, the same sex, they will kill you. Like, it's a thing in a lot of other countries still. And so, that was kind of a wake-up call for Shane, I think, also to realize, like, no, Ilya's got more stakes in it than
I
just,
I
sponsorships
agree,
and stuff like that.
and
And
I
then
that was
wait,
such an important thing to point out.
yeah,
Wait.
and then there was this other bit too when they finally get past that, because Ilya's dad's a dick, and
Yes.
he wins the cup in one of the episodes, and there's this bit where he's like, "I did it. It was," he's, like, shaking it. In the book, they did a better interpretation of that because Shane realizes in that moment that he did this for someone. He did it to prove for
Yes.
someone. He picked up on it, and it doesn't really they do a decent
You
job.
you
It doesn't really relate
you
well in
just it's
the
not the
episode,
same.
but if you read the story and you pick up that Shane catches it and he understands, like, oh, he was trying to prove this to somebody. He didn't necessarily know who or to what, but
Yeah,
he picked
who?
up on it
But it
because
was his
Ilya was like,
family.
yeah, he was like
He was
crying.
so
It was,
excited
and
when
it
they
was like,
won. I
yeah,
remember
it was
because
for
he's
his mom.
watching it.
It was for his mom.
They had lost out of the playoffs,
Hmm.
and he had this huge smile, and he proved his point, and his dad and yes, his dad was part of the police, like a very high up person in the police. His brother's in the police in Russia,
They're not good
and
people
his
either.
brother knows, and his brother basically blackmails him,
Hmm.
and I can't it really does add a very a deep layer. And I think it's one of the reasons why this show and this book are so popular, and they're coming at such a perfect time in history
Hmm.
where it's more for most people, it's more than just coming out. There's stakes beyond things that heterosexual people don't realize. We don't have to think about it.
Hmm. It's true.
I don't have to worry that somebody's gonna kill me because I love my husband. It's just
Hmm.
it's a very different thing. And this show does a great job, the book does a great job of opening your eyes to things like that, that you know it's a reality, but it hits home when
Yeah.
it's characters that you're invested in and that you care about, and you see how it impacts their relationships, how it impacts their life. Like when Ilya is talking to him on the phone and he's like, I could marry Svetlana. He doesn't want that. It would be fake. It would be a show. And that is what so many people are forced to
And
to
that
save their life.
And that I think that's what Shane was just like, "No, I don't want that." But he was thinking in his own selfless moment, but he forgot, I think also, like, the
Yeah.
circumstances of what Russia is and how it is.
Yeah.
I I was kind of, like, glad the dad had passed away, so
Me
Ilya
too.
could be free,
They
and he
gave
figured
him
out a way
he's
out of
free
there. Yeah.
because he didn't care about his brother, and I was very glad when his dad died. As sad as it was, because that was the last thing tying him to Russia. And
Well, and
I
his
hope one of
niece.
the end scenes ends up in the next season where he wants to become a Canadian.
Uh,
And I
well
love
well,
the ending,
and
which we didn't get to, but
The the other thing is the niece they talk about more in the show,
yes.
and I really am glad that he's like, "For my niece, this is for just for my niece." So I
Yes, for
appreciate that
her.
they actually took that time to say that because and
Yes.
also to be specify, like, "You ain't getting any of her money, like, this is strictly for the
No,
niece."
he is very family oriented.
Mhm,
But I also think that Ilya is one of the people that's like, if you cross me, I'm done. Like I think he felt such a responsibility to his father. Like he couldn't take care of him. He wasn't there, but he could pay for everything.
mhm.
And that was his parent. It was I think he couldn't take care of his mom. He couldn't save his mom. And as much as he
There
doesn't like his dad,
Yeah,
that's the last parent. And I can understand that because I've lost my mother. I have one parent alive. And
mhm,
it's the stakes are different when that's the only family you have.
that's true. I That's true, as frustrating as that is, it's still your family, and it's really, really hard to cut that
Yeah,
out of your life even if they're negative.
it
And the
is.
other thing too is, just there's this particular dynamic is common in most families anyways, and then to have that extra
Yeah,
layer of liking the same sex is just
of all
another
this stuff. Yeah, it's a lot.
it's a lot
I think
harder.
the characters in this
Are
are
well done.
phenomenally written.
So good.
Ilya, and they're dynamic in different ways. So Ilya is so much more vocal about liking men and women to
Mhm,
Shane and to his friends. Like they know, his family
mhm.
knows. Um,
I wouldn't say his family
and I
knows, like, he's
his
tried to keep
brother
that
knows. Yeah,
his
he keeps it
brother
under
knows.
wraps. Like his dad doesn't know, but his brother knows. But his friends know.
Mhm,
Um, and I think watching it, reading it, realizing how brave he is for even taking the chance. Like he was so into the chance to have time with Shane.
mhm,
And Shane was so scared about it. And I like you said, there was that moment when he realizes Ilya's got more at stake here. And I think
mhm.
it really helps him come to terms with it and to the point where he's like, I don't not like you. I do like you. This is more for me. And I don't know that he would have gotten to that point, or maybe he wouldn't have gotten to that point as quickly if he didn't realize that Ilya's got all of this stuff. I mean, this is life and death for him. And he
Mhm.
still gives it a chance and he still gives himself the ability to express that where he can.
Well, I think okay, you're kind of jumping the gun a little bit because
I know.
he realizes this and he does all that, but he still goes through and dates Rose because he's not sure about
Yes,
himself.
he's not
So
sure
he
about
doesn't
himself
really
whether he likes.
he sees what Ilya's gone through, he recognizes that, but he still doesn't actually make that move to tell him the truth because he's still not sure about himself. And then he meets Rose, they click. He's attracted to her, but not really. And
I
then
love her.
I love that it was just like it wasn't like a bitchy character of like, "How dare you?"
No, not a
She was an
because it could be.
understanding, she got it, and she even was like, "Let's talk about it." And it's so great. I'm so glad,
She was the only person that
so
was
glad
like,
that that was
"Have
there.
you thought about I love like, have you told anybody this?" No.
No.
And she was so sweet and such a great friend. She was
Mhm.
the only person that had the guts to be like, "I do care about you. I do love you. And it's
And
because I love you that I know we're not Shane says, we're
well,
not compatible."
yeah, well, it's not even just the compatible part, it's just, like, she recognized, like, oh, because I think she picked up that there was something between him and Miles there whenever they
Yeah,
met. Like,
there was
oh
like a
oh
undercurrent.
yeah, and so I think I'm just glad that she picked up on it and she
Me
wasn't, like,
too.
threatened by it or jealous or made it
No.
worse because
Yeah.
Jane, in that aspect, when it comes to relationships and, like, emotional, is super fragile. He's super fragile
Extremely.
there,
Well,
and
he's never done anything but hockey, so for him to start looking at other parts of his life, I think was really, really difficult for him.
yeah, I agree with that, and then with that aspect and having someone actually talk to, that helped him mature enough to figure that out. Now granted, it took him getting beat up at a hockey game and being under drugs to ask Ilya, "Will you come to my
God,
cottage?" That made me
I
laugh,
ugh,
but it also made me
I
like,
love
"Oh,
that in the
that
book,
Ilya
and I
showed up
love
though."
how
Ilya
silly
showed
he
up.
is.
Yeah, Ilya showed up
I
though,
know,
was,
I
like,
love when he
so
walks
worried
in,
about
he's like, "Ilya!" Because he's so drugged,
yeah,
and
and
it just made me
Ilya's
so
like,
happy.
"Oh." But
He's
it's
like,
so
"Dude, this
sweet,
is not the place," but it's so cute.
and
I
so
just
they
love it. "Come to my cottage, we'll have so much fun." He's so
so
high, and it's just
so
so
funny,
cute.
so sweet, it's so cute,
It's
and it's, like, heart
so
to heart,
sweet.
and then I'm glad they had that moment, and then in, episode 5, when Scott
Ugh,
comes out and it's finally and I'm like, "Thank God," because I was about ready
I
to
know.
rip him a new one, he was driving me nuts,
Right?
and,
Because 'cause you're like, "God, come on, dude."
like, you
And
don't he's
mm,
so worried, like, it's kind of wild, like, how worried they are about being caught, and I'm like, "You guys you live in the United States, this isn't like, it's not the same type of
it
thing of,
seems
like."
life and death for you, but it's
Yeah.
not.
It's not. I mean, I get it because maybe NHL,
Yeah,
they
you
have
worry
been
about your
becoming
career.
more open about it, but it's also like, okay, but he loves hockey.
I think a lot
I
of
understand,
sports.
but it was still frustrating for him to treat Kip that way. Like, that
I
was not
agree.
okay. There was a lot
That
of
was
stuff that was
okay.
not okay. And so
Yeah.
I am glad that he finally did that. And then talking about how, like, just like how this show has affected in real life,
Yeah.
how him coming out, he's received a lot of people reaching out to him, and he talks about it, and I'm like, "I'm so glad they
Yeah.
left that in the show. I'm so glad they have that part in the show."
Me too.
And that helped
I
Ilya
just
be
love
like,
it.
I'm coming
Yeah.
to your cottage." That was the gateway.
God, I love that. I love it.
And there's
I
a
love
whole
this whole
song on it
thing,
now,
and then
"I'm
the
coming
whole
to the cottage.
cottage.
I'm coming to the
I
cottage."
know.
There's a whole, like, EDM on it
I
now, it's
just
so funny.
I just like, do you just not like I just wanna crawl into the cottage. Like, I just wanna sit there on the couch and just
Oh, the
watch
cottage is
them.
gorgeous, and then just to be
Oh my
like
god,
a
for
fly
real.
or a
I
bird,
love the
or be
loon.
or the loon, be the
Stupid
loon.
Canadian wolf bird. So, I
That's
saw
so
something and
great.
I don't know if it's true,
Mm,
but I would love it to be true. So I'm gonna believe that it's true. That when in the show, when Shane does the call back to the loon,
mhm.
it's like a "this is my territory" call, and
Yeah,
it's a protective thing for Ilya, and he doesn't know it.
I think so. I feel like that may
I
have
was
been
just
mentioned
like,
in the
"Oh!"
book. I
Yeah,
was
I think
I was cracking up so much at the whole loon part whenever I was,
oh my
like, listening to the
god.
book and then seeing it in the show. I didn't know if he actually that was actually explained, but that would actually be really funny and super
Yeah.
sweet.
It was something I think I saw, like, somebody had wrote it somewhere, but it's funny because we have loons in New Hampshire, um, and they sound exactly like that. They're weird, they come out at night, they're
That's
weird
not
birds.
terrifying at all. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
right? And so I love him.
A
"What the
werewolf
F was
bird.
that?
Werewolf
Sounds like a
bird.
wolf." Stupid Canadian wolf bird.
Woof
I just
But
love it.
okay, and a shout out to Connor, the actor. Holy moly, he did not
Okay,
speak Russian. He did this in under 2
in a
weeks or
week,
in a week,
which
yeah.
which was funny because in the show on the phone, when Shane's like, "You should teach me Russian," and he goes, "Oh, you could learn it in a week with no accent." And I
Yeah.
laughed so hard because I knew that that's what he had done. And
Yeah.
honest to God, if shows could win Oscars,
Yes.
I cannot wait to see what Connor's story does. I mean, the fact that he came in, he is nothing like that character.
Mhm. And
He's such a, like, adorable guy.
mhm.
Like, did you watch the thing when they came out at the Golden Globes and he was like
Oh,
and he
yeah,
was
yeah.
adorable, and he's
He's just like
so
it's so funny because Ilya's like this serious kind of like,
serious, like, buff,
"Woah,"
like, God,
and
and
then
Connor's
Connor
so
is just like a
not.
fluffy puppy. He's just a cute little
He's
doggy,
just a
and
little puppy, and I just love him. I cannot wait to see what he does. I mean, I the talent to learn Russian, one of, if not the hardest languages to learn,
and to get the
and he
dialect perfect.
so perfect. The Russian people, when they were filming in Russia, thought he was Russian, thought
Russian,
he
and he's
spoke
not,
Russian at home.
and he
And
did it
they
so
would
well,
start
they were
talking to him, and
amazed.
he's like, "I have no idea what you're saying." And they were like, "What do you mean you don't know what we're saying?" It's impeccable. Like,
Yeah.
they've had Russian speakers listen to it, like, people's dads who, like, don't know anything about it will listen
Mhm.
to it, and they're like, I mean, there's a little bit of an accent here or there,
But
but,
it's
like,
really,
it's
really good.
flawless.
Yeah, it's very, very good, and it's very, very impressive. I cannot wait to see him and all the different stuff. And the other thing is Hudson, the, Shane
I
actor.
oof,
He wow, woo,
I
I like
know.
him, and I like both of them. But I haven't got a chance to really sit down and listen to Ember and Ice, which is on Quinn. Little shout out for to Quinn out there. If y'all don't have this app, what are you doing? You need you need to get the
I
Quinn
don't
app.
have it. I need to get it.
You need to get it. I thought you had
I
it. Oh
know.
my
I was like, you're gonna judge me.
gosh.
I need to get it.
But the
Um,
Ember and Ice, I listened to a clip of it, like, oh my goodness. Like, look, there's already amazing amount of talent on there. Like, there's some narrators from the books that we listen to for romance, the romance books, like Shane. Oh,
yeah.
Shane's on there. I've Shane East. Um Eric Nolan's on there. He did Butcher and
Oh, that's a
Blackbird,
good one.
and no, he didn't do Butcher Blackbird. He did Leather and Lark, and he did Scythe and Sparrow, and he has his own thing on there, The Devil of Dublin. He's really, really good. He's actually a very
I
nice man. I
still
met him in
need
person.
to read that. I've heard that book is amazing.
Devil, yeah, it's very
Yeah,
good.
Devil
And
in Dublin.
then,
I need to read that one.
and he's on there, and who else is on there? Gosh, I'm trying to remember all the all different narrators. There's a bunch of narrators from like romance audiobooks that are actually on there too. James Joseph is on there. Ah, there's
Okay,
so
yeah, I
many,
need to get it.
and they have, like, their
I need
own
to get it.
skits and stories, and sometimes they do them together, and it's so great,
Ugh,
and it's so, so good. It's
I need to do
spicy
that.
audio mainly for women. I mean, it's great. It's
Oh yeah,
fantastic. I
let's be
highly
honest.
recommend listening to that if you guys haven't listened to it, but the fact that that Quinn was like, "Let's capitalize on this. Let's get both of them on here," and they're fairies, and they're fairies on this. And
Ugh,
it's Ember and
ugh,
Ice, and it's enemies it's a true enemies to lovers moment because they are, each on the opposite side of this war, and they're princes, and they fall for each other, but they can't be together because they're not it's also kind of
ugh,
like a thing where they can't be gay, but it's just like it's so well
I
done,
love
and
it.
they do such a great
I
job.
love them.
So
I love how
excited.
they're I don't wanna say they're, like, opposites of their characters. It's just that Connor's story is such a puppy,
Mhm.
and then,
I would say Shane's more like Ilya. Not Shane, sorry.
I
Hudson's
Hudson,
more like
yeah,
Ilya.
he's a little more butchy. He's a little like,
Yeah,
he
more
comes
he's a
out,
little
you're
bit
like,
more like
"Okay, sexy man." Not
he
that
did a
Connor's
really
not,
good
he's
interview.
just such a cute little, he's like a little golden retriever puppy.
Yeah,
Like,
he's got golden
I love
retriever
him, he's
energy,
hot,
for sure.
I love him. Yeah, and Hudson is
Hudson's
just
more ooh, he's more shadow daddy.
yeah, I was gonna say
He's a
he's, like,
more
a little
shadow daddy
darker
type.
in person.
Yeah, yeah.
I will say I think it was I don't know if it was the Golden Globes or whatever, but they were dressed up and, Hudson had on this necklace that had like a gem in the middle and it was diamond and it looked like more of a feminine necklace. Oh my god, it looked so good on him.
I don't think I've seen that. I don't
You'll
remember
have
that.
to go look at
To
it
be
because
fair
it was just such a perfect thing for them to dress him in, like
mhm.
that feminine meets masculine. And it just like, he didn't had his shirt half unbuttoned, and then he had this, like, almost
Maybe I
choker
have
necklace. Oh my god, it was so good. You have to look it up.
to
It's a
be fair,
fantastic.
there is so much content on them right now, like,
Oh my god.
that this is the most I've ever
I
seen from the
literally I
show
cannot
or anything.
for real.
Like, people are
I mean,
comparing,
I think
like, the
this is
level of this to Game of Thrones, like, it's,
I was
like,
just gonna
beating
say the
them.
hype of this, I feel like, is right up there with Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And to know that they were both waiting tables. I think it was Hudson who told his friend who was the manager that he was gonna come back to work after this show
Well, because
because
they
they
hadn't,
didn't
like
know.
yeah, they didn't know. It just they filmed it, it takes a while for it to go
Yeah.
through everything, and then, of course, when it finally they didn't expect this to blow up the way they did, I'm glad it
No, I
did.
mean, this is like their big break for both of them. And
Uh,
I think I have to tell you, I love that about this
uh-huh.
because this story deserved unknown people.
It did. It
You
really
needed
did.
unknown people to come in. You needed to have no prior thought about the actor or whomever,
Mhm.
and they crushed it.
Well, here's the other thing that I think is not talked about for movies and in general is one of the greatest things about movies, like the old ones, is that they were on a strict budget,
Yeah.
and so they had to be super creative and come up with stuff on the fly, and I think that was one of the big things with Heated Rivalry is that they really had to narrow it, like, they really had to just stick with their budget, and then because they didn't really have much of a budget for this because it was an unknown
Yeah.
thing, it's a popular book, but they don't know how it's gonna go, and now they're gonna have a really big budget for the next one, but
Which I can't
I
wait
think that's
for.
also it creates more of a in my opinion, the creativity is higher there, and it creates more of
Yes.
an honest
So
feelings
it's like,
from evoking from the actors and everything because
yes,
they don't have, like, all
it's
the tension
more.
there.
So when I was in college, I took a photography class, and
Mhm,
it was digital and film. And film I loved because of the rawness.
mhm.
You can't you can't edit it very much. There's only so much you can do, and I feel like it's the same with what you're talking about. That there's more of a rawness. There's more of their talent that shines through because it's not heavily edited. You don't have all the CGI and all the
CGI
this
and all
blah.
this
It's just
and known actors that,
yeah.
that's a hullabaloo with that, and there's already kind of like a they're very set in their ways with some stuff, so it wouldn't
Yes.
work, I
And
think,
there's
as
some
well.
actors like and Tom Hanks is one for me. I love him. He's a phenomenal actor, but when I see Tom Hanks, I see Tom Hanks.
Yeah. And or, you
And
see him from certain movies that you've already seen before,
exactly,
he's
like
kind of
he's
built
just
that kind of that,
yeah, like
I don't wanna
I
say
can't
stigma, but kind of like
no,
an
it's
I
just
like
you've seen them so much that it's hard to go in with a blank slate.
correct.
And this story needed people with a blank slate because I think it makes it just makes it so much more honest, and that is what
That's
this
true.
story deserved.
I agree with that.
That's what the story's all about. It's about honesty.
Now now we do need to talk about how they're gonna have another book called Unrivaled, and this is about them getting married and what that looks like for
I
them at that
can't
time, and
wait.
I'm so excited.
I
So, I'm so
can't
excited for this.
wait.
I am so excited for
I
this. I know everyone's
cannot
excited for
wait.
it. I've already pre-ordered it. Like, I cannot wait for that to come out. I would
I just
love
can't
to
wait
meet
for like
Rachel Reid.
all of
She's
it,
the
all the
author.
shows and oh my God. I for real. I want to know like when she wrote this, did she ever think that it was going to be this? Because I would assume no.
I don't think
And then
anybody ever
how do
does. I
you
don't think anybody ever does.
you can't. I don't like how do you but then to look back and be like you wrote something. Like this is such a big like you said, right up there with Game of Thrones, but this is such a poignant piece of art right now in the world with just where things are
Mhm,
politically. It's just it one of those things that just comes out right at the right time, like right when we all needed it.
mhm.
And
I
it's
agree.
exactly what we needed.
I
And I
agree.
think that's what draws people to it because there's so much crap going on in the world and there's so much angst and there's so much hate. To see something like this that is just, yes, it's different, but it's just love.
That's
And it
really what it
really
is.
helps you understand what the LGBTQ community goes through. It's just love.
Yeah, there is that too, but in general, I just love that it's just focusing on them and their
Me
love
too.
story. It's their process,
It's
how
just
they had to enter
beautiful.
and do it, and yes, Scott and Kip and all of them are involved and whatnot, but I love that it focuses on them and how they realize their true feelings for each other, and also because they're men, and it just takes a
Yeah,
while for some things to click with men, and I enjoyed that they were, like, not making it more of effeminate type thing where they're more in tune with it.
yeah,
It's like they were growing,
the
learning from each
way that
other.
men do.
Yeah, and for Shane in particular, I think it took him even longer because he had no idea before,
Yeah,
and
well, he finally let
how it
himself start to explore himself, I guess. That sounded
yeah.
weird. You know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean, and I'm sure everyone else did too, but it's just that type of thing, that vulnerability you don't
Mhm.
really get a whole lot anymore
Yeah,
in shows and stuff like that. They did such a great job with the vulnerability of being
yeah,
trying to figure themselves out and showcasing that,
yes.
and you get it in the book, but it's should done so well in the actual TV show. 10,
That's
10.
well, then that's one of the things, like, you talk about. The book does a great job, and, that's what I love, that they didn't change the book a ton,
Mhm. There's
because
just some things
it didn't need it.
they can't put in it.
You
It's just
just
not
can't
possible.
you just can't change it.
Mhm,
Um, but the book, you get their thoughts, and then the show, you see the vulnerability, you feel the longing.
mhm,
Um, like, I love when they're driving in the car and Ilya just grabs his hand. Like,
mhm,
it just, I think, shows the beauty of the little moments when you're trying to figure yourself out. And one of, I think, the most important things that it does, like you were talking about, they're men. This is
mhm.
a 10-year relationship. It took them that long
To sort it out, to
to
figure out.
sort it out.
But also
And
in a
yes,
way
they have more outside influence, I think,
mhm,
that kept it going a little bit longer. But it's such a great message of discovering yourself, discovering who you are, what you want,
mhm.
and finding the person that completes that.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think they did such a great job. They're like you said, they followed the book really, really well, but there's just some aspects of the book you can't just
Yeah,
show
you
there.
just yeah,
So, if you haven't read the books,
do
I
it.
watch the show, then read the book, then go back and watch it, and things will make more sense to you, and you'll pick up on more things a little
You'll
bit more
pick it up,
clearly than before.
and I feel like you'll appreciate it in a much deeper way.
Mhm. You really will
You'll
because
appreciate the acting and the nuance, because once you read the book, I watched the show first, then I read the book, then I watched it.
mhm,
And I felt it the first time, but then to go back and watch the entire show again, and the actors and just how good they were.
mhm,
There's just so many nuanced things from the book, like you said, that you can't openly point out in a show, but it's there if you read
mhm.
it and then you know what to look for. And it's beautiful. It's such a I just ugh, it's just beautiful. If you haven't watched it, watch it. If you hate it, there's something wrong with you.
Uh,
That's all I
I
have. I just
I I agree with that. Like, there's I don't see how many people could hate this unless they are just vehemently
they're
uh,
just bigoted.
against yeah, unless they're just that, but it's such a
'Cause
sweet,
it's just
vulnerable
love.
show.
That like, it is.
It's
It's
a
love.
love
Yeah,
show.
cool,
It's a love
there's
show.
sex in it. You know what?
I mean, it's nice,
Game of
that's
Thrones.
wrong, yeah, Game of
I mean,
Thrones
it
has
really
quite
was
a lot of
not.
that, but
It has way more, and it
yeah.
shows way more. And that was something that I saw an interview about, how people were talking about explicitness of it, and they were like, if it was a male and woman, or male and
There wouldn't
female,
be any there would be like,
there would be
"Woohoo."
no conversation. Like, do you like, well, go back and watch some of the scenes from Game of Thrones that are like way more explicit. That had incest in it. And you're gonna tell me you have a problem with two guys that love each other?
Yeah. Over a 10-year relationship? What? Yeah,
No,
no.
you can go away.
Yeah,
I
so
don't want to hear your opinion then. Like,
yeah.
if yeah,
I agree with that. Yeah, no.
I don't think it was
That makes
overly
me mad,
explicit.
actually. I don't
I
like
think
that, like,
it made me
didn't
mad. It was beautiful.
yeah, the whole series is just it's beautiful, it's well done, but it's not overly done and drawn out. They did it
Oh,
6 episodes, so you can watch this in a sitting. It's not unless you just have a lot going
you
on,
will.
which is fair.
I
I
don't know how you stop.
yeah. If you stop, you're gonna hate it, you're gonna be like, "I gotta go back and watch it." It's like it's that good. But
Yeah,
yes, I would say Heated Rivalry, definitely go check out her books. Rachel Reid is the author. I know they
excellent
signed
author.
2 more seasons of this being adapted into a show. I
They're gonna
don't
get more.
know what they are, but I don't know what those 2 seasons are gonna be now that the new book has been announced.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I'm kind of
Um,
interested to see next season because we know, obviously Shane and Ilya, and I believe it's supposed to go more into Scott and Kip, um, as it should, because that's, we're missing their
mhm.
story to a degree. But I'm excited to kind of see, does it keep going with Shane and Ilya? Do we see them in terms of like Scott and Kip and their budding relationship? And
From
I'm excited to see where they
there
go.
they make appearances throughout some of the other books, but I
Yeah.
think that it should talk about other couples in that world.
Yeah, because that's the series.
Well, not just because of the series, but because of what Scott did, and then Ilya
Yeah.
and Shane, how their story comes out, and how it affects the other players, and how their relationships from there. It all intertwines in such a fluid way that I think it's
Yeah.
really important for them to talk about too. So I'm excited whichever route they take. I just hope it doesn't get, too sensational, not
But I
sensationalized,
I hope it doesn't
too
get too far from the
commercial.
books. Yeah,
Yeah,
I hope
I want that vulnerability still to be there.
I do too, and I think her writing is so good.
Mhm.
Don't change it.
The reason it did so well the first time is because you guys followed along with the book. Stick to the book, people, stick to the book. So, yeah, so stick to it as much as you can. I think that's how you're gonna keep having some hit shows. But on that note, if you guys haven't seen it, you should. If you haven't read it, you should, or listen to it because it's on audio. It's all done very well. Highly recommend. And thank you guys for listening. And we will talk to you again next time. Bye.